past 48 hours has been so crazy in Nigerian political space. We have seen how northern youths have called up Peter B for not attending that burial of their failed godlike leader Buhari. But that is not the crux of today's podcast. Aljazera have just exposed the rotten skeleton in the locker of Buhari. That deep-rooted hatred he has for the Igbos and every other part of the country that seeks to break away from the Fulani hegemony. I want you to just give me 1 minute of your time. Let's watch this video together. Then we'll continue our analysis.
We're seeing the Indigenous Peoples Organization of Biafra, IPOB. They are protesting peacefully for the most part on a regular basis. And there has been video, I could show you some video that's been posted of a very...
No, thank you. And for somebody to wake up, maybe he wasn't born when there was just fighting in Biafra and said he wants Biafra again. We have multi-party democracy system now. Let them organize themselves and vote for to have a state within a state. But to try and interfere with movement of troops, with economy, looking for Biafra, after losing 2 million people, I think they are joking with Nigeria's security, and Nigeria will not tolerate it.
Why don't you invite them for talks?
Why should we invite them?
For the most part, they appear to be young people, as you say, with no recollection
they didn't know
of
what
the war,
happened.
the 1967-70 war. But these are disaffected young men for the most part, but young women as well, who are protesting, it would appear, against their reduced economic opportunities, government allocations to state governments.
I hope you listen keenly to those conversations over there. And there we have it. You know, Buhari showing so much disdain and hate, no form of apology or remorse for the order he gave to the police and the Nigerian army to gun down unharmed, peaceful to the core protesters. I mean, these are just young youths, men and women who were simply demanding for one thing, and that is just the right to live, the right to achieve their potentials. The Biafrans. Beyond the Biafrans, we know what happened to the likes of Sunday Igboho. We know what happened to the very young man in the north, the well-known popular activist, Dadiata. You know, Buhari was simply a man who was so cold-hearted. While he was giving orders for people to be unalived, he remained calm, he remained indifferent, and he was able to carry that aura of an innocent man. Thanks to Aljazera for bringing this video back to our attention once again, because this interview he had was way back as at 2016, before the very popular video that was made by a British activist who said openly on the street of London that Buhari is dead. I will show you that video, but let's continue our analysis. Why was Buhari made the president by the Fulani's deep state power brokers? Galadima, a man who at one time worked with Buhari, had said that Buhari was simply positioned by the power that be in the Fulani Caliphate to come on board and solidify, listen, to solidify the hegemony of the Fulani. That there was a fear and scare just after 1999 to 2002-3, when OPC were, of course, going on a rampage. You know, they had that widespread of OPC across all Yoruba lands and into Ilorin. Galadima, these are not my words, these are the words of Galadima. And this is not an issue of wherein you come on board, I come online to maybe say speak evil of the dead. No. I'm only here to give a reportage of who Buhari was, of how so much rotten the skeletons he had in his locker. Because I've seen how so many people right now, most especially the educated Almanjiris in the north, who have come on board online to try and, they want to brush Buhari as a white guy who never had his clothes stained, painting him, whitewashing him, giving him some level of sainthood. It is just total madness. A man who couldn't have a dialogue, however, thought it deemed to have a dialogue with Fulani bandits. He literally gave the Fulani bandits 100 billion to stop kidnapping and invading people's farms. However, he said he didn't have the money to negotiate or to call or bring to the table the Biafrans who were simply demanding for good governance. These are people who were not into kidnapping, not into killing, whatnot. Yet, Buhari, from that scarce media resources, which on a large scale being generated by these people of the Biafrans, because they have the oil, they have the gas, right? He gave them 100 billion to his brothers. I mean, this is just madness. It is just madness. So going on, I haven't watched so many of the interviews Buhari did. Buhari was a man who was simply elected by the power that be in the north, first and foremost, that Ilorin must not, at any point in time, be lost back to the Yorubas. The Ilorin must not be taken over by the Yorubas. Because Fulani remains the vassal state. I mean, Ilorin remains the vassal state for the Fulani kingdom. When I mean, let me tell you, Ilorin, after the River Niger, right, get into Jeba. River Niger is the borderline, okay, the boundary, the divider, which was created by providence, by God. And that is where Southwest actually ends. But you see, during the war, whereby Afonja, because of his selfish interest, somehow lost that territory to the Fulanese since the early 19th centuries. This happened between the period of 1801 to 1802, thereabout. The Fulanese have not lost hold of that state. And Buhari was elected to come on board and solidify it. And Buhari did it. And beyond that, the rotten skeleton in the lockers are now being exposed, and everywhere is repulsive. That repulsive smell, we now know who this man is. It wasn't that saint they call him. This was a man who was buried. We couldn't find top world leaders in his burial. Not even African leaders. We couldn't see Ghana president to go there. We couldn't see the Senegalese go there. This was a man who committed his life, who said that he will use everything within and without him to ensure that the Sharia movement in Nigeria is fulfilled and cuts across all the cardinals of this country. We didn't see the sheikhs from Egypt, from Sudan, from Algeria, from Morocco. We didn't see them attend daddy's burial. We didn't. But we know how Mandela was so respected by world leaders. In fact, the point is, why they feel they can attack Obi is simply because they feel Obi is an easy target, you know? Yeah. Because they feel Obi wants to become the president. And there's always this notion that for an Igbo man to become the president, he has to bow, he has to roll, he has to beg, he has to wash the foot of the Fulani man. I mean, the Yorubas have been doing that. So there's actually no shame about that. When you talk about the Yorubas washing the feet of the Fulanese to become the president, there's absolutely nothing to be ashamed about it. I'm a Yoruba guy. That's what we do. That is absolutely what we do. We all know what Tinubu did. We know how Tinubu wholeheartedly campaigned, served Buhari, kowtowed to Buhari's every of his even anti-people policies. We know how Obasanjo did his own too, how he bowed, how he was just danced to the drums and tunes of the Fulani's hegemony. So Obi is being put in that category too. Like, listen, guy, you did not attend the burial, and then you will not get our support. And then for how long shall we continue to remain in this vicious circle of the Fulani controlling our fate and destiny? Let us watch 2 videos and then we'll continue our analysis. Don't call me, message me, Zainab, I did. Carol, why don't you message me? Why don't you send a message?
Okay, sir.
Or a voice note?
Okay, sir.
All right, welcome back. Did you see that video over there? As at 2017, so many secrets was exposed, not by Nigerians, but by British activists. That was the video I showed you there. They said Buhari has been long gone. And shortly after that revelation, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu took it upon himself to enlighten, to open the eyes of ignorant Nigerians. But yeah, Nigerians are fond of defending their oppressors. Nigerians have one of the highest chronic of what we call Stockholm syndrome. Yet they speak very good English, but they mentally they are very poor. In critical thinking, Nigerians are very low. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu came out and said this and this. He had an interview, about 1 hour interview with Dele Momodu. As you can see it on my screen over there. Let's watch about 2-3 minutes together.
My question is about your best friend, our president and commander. Now, you propounded this theory of a cloned man and that our current president is a Sudanese man called Jibril. Do you agree that your information might have been wrong? And you are also willing to apologize to him for that error? Anybody can make a mistake.
No, not at all. Buhari is dead and buried in a shallow grave in Saudi Arabia. Aisha Buhari was there. She came back from what they called a lesser Hajj. She was wearing black. She was mourning. If you look at the pictures that were circulated at that point in time, you will see the smug, or should I say, the forlorn faces of northern governors. A minute silence was held at the AU for a late Buhari. Even Her Britannic Majesty Queen Elizabeth II also penned a condolence message to the people of Nigeria before the cabal took over and asked her to rescind it, which she did. Buhari is dead, and I'm prepared to stake Biafra on it. If you, Dele Momodu, can go and prove to me, I'm not asking you to do anything too complex. If you can go and ask this man you call Buhari, whoever it is in Asorok, to come outside, don't do very much, address a panel of Nigerian youths, maybe 20 of them, and speak Buhari's mother tongue, which is Fulfude. I will give up Biafra, I will apologize to him, and I will submit myself to any authority on this earth to do with me as they please. There is no Buhari. Jibril was there. Jibril followed Abba Kyari to Cuba and ran away from there and never came back. The man you have now in Asorok is from Niger Republic. His name is Yusuf Abubakar Muhammad. That's his name. Yusuf Abubakar Muhammad. Even Shekau knows who he is personally and was mentioning his name as well. It is not Buhari. The old Buhari that you and I know, the country cannot be burning and he will restrict himself to only 12 minutes of edited broadcast. Impossible. Impossible. Anybody that knows Buhari, even if he's dying, he must speak because he fought in his own understanding to keep Nigeria one. Anything that impacts or threatens the territorial cohesion and integrity of Nigeria, the old Buhari, in fact, he will be in Lagos. The old Buhari will be in Lagos, I'm telling you. But this little, have you not seen him with his fresh hands of a 35-year-old? He cannot wear this. He cannot wear this. Because if he wears this, his ear will bend. Because it's rubber. Silicon. We know about AI technology. It's deep fake. Please Google it. You're a media man, you must know this. I can replicate this very interview with your face showing us having this conversation, but it is not you. You also saw that some, would I say, some eagle-eyed investigators managed to discover that there was actually a microphone, a loudspeaker on the table. It's everything that they claimed that Buhari was saying was coming from a loudspeaker. From a loudspeaker. Very, very sad indeed. These are the things that the world must understand and come to terms with. That the person you are calling Buhari is not Buhari, and I can stake my life on it. If he comes out tomorrow and takes, or should I say, address any press interview live without Garba doing this, telling people to cut. If he can come out tomorrow, a panel of journalists will, in fact, no, not journalists, because some of them are corrupt.
Absolutely shameful. Boris Johnson, what's he doing? He's doing nothing. Buhari is dead. Buhari died in London in February 2017.
That's right.
He died in London in 2017. So why do you still put this charade out that Buhari's coming to London? Buhari's coming for medical treatment. The man died in 2017.
Yes.
And when that comes out, seriously, the UK will look the biggest fools on earth. The death certificate's there. It's all written.
That's right.
There's proof he died in London. He's buried in Saudi Arabia. And yet you keep that quiet as well. How can you keep quiet that a president of a country died 4 years ago and you're still portraying him coming here for hospital treatment? Is that not a farce?
Cover up.
It's a total cover-up. A total corrupt cover-up by a totally corrupt